Okay. All right. Welcome back. This is our third chapter, but our fourth class, I believe.
She wanted us up closer tonight. That's
excellent. So, let's take a deep breath and settle. And just relax. And as we relax, let's set our intention for the evening. And as we breathe out, let's claim it as our first breath. Exhale as 1, and inhale for 2, and exhale as 1, and inhale as 2, and release everything with exhale, and then breathe in the divine. And release any tension with your exhale. And again, let's breathe in God. And release any confusion or doubt. And as we inhale again, let's just relax into our chairs and let the chairs do the work. We've created them for us. It's part of our good. And we release and breathe in God. And let's set our intentions for this evening. What do you want to learn? What would you like to share? And now, as we gather here this evening, I know that there's only one spirit, one life, one breath that connects each and every one of us. And that as we are here tonight, we are present, we are well-being, and we are in love with everything around us. That all we see, our good is our God, and everything that is. And I know that as we are here, we move forward. We can only move forward. And so we release the past and we step forward into each moment, each second, with new breath, new life, and new awareness. And this is what I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for each and every person who's here this evening, who shares, who gives strength to the other, and who is present, knowing only the truth, that there is only love. And together we say, and so it is. So, chapter 3 is all about what she calls forgiveness. That it's really just forgiveness of ourselves, right? Forgiveness of what we believe to be the truth. And so we're going to pick up on the tail end of chapter 2, the negation piece, work with that just a little bit, and then we're going to move into some affirmation. And then we'll talk about the chapter after we've done that, because I'm assuming that you've read the chapter. So remember, lesson 2, the practice that we're asking you to do every Tuesday morning. Remember, because you have another 5 that you're to do every Monday morning. But every Tuesday morning we say, we negate. And it's, there is no evil. There is no reality to matter. It is illusion formed by belief in absence. There is no absence of life, substance, or intelligence anywhere. There is nothing hurtful. There is no sin, sickness, or death. And then 6 and 7, you were asked to find two additional negations in your own life, in your own experience, and to be discovered, reasoned out, and spoken by each of us on our own. Reason out how they cannot be part of your experience or thought, state them firmly, expecting the good, which is your true nature, to manifest immediately. So before we get started on chapter 3, let's do this. Let's find those other two negations. Did anyone actually do that? Did you? Great. So hang on to those and let's give the other people a few minutes to write that down, because we're going to work with those as we move into chapter 3. We had a lot of great negations in the circle, so. Everyone have their last two negations followed by those first five? You need a couple other minutes. I'm bored. Do you want more time?
I'm good.
Pardon?
I'm good.
You're good. Everyone good? Okay. So this is what Emma says at the beginning of the chapter, or chapter 3. She says, now is the time to choose the power or energy we would like to embody in ourselves and to work at it until all its characteristics are visible in us. There is a divine providence always acting, always ready to give us something new in return for that which we negate. Right? So first we have to recognize it and say, no, that can't be true. And then we can move into affirmation. Right? And we talked about this last week, and I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. If we are going blindly into affirmation, we're not really getting at the core of what the issue is. If people disagree, please do. Do people disagree? Does everyone agree? Okay. So on that note, are there any questions about chapter 3 before we actually get into it? Because this is a chock full. This chapter is like, in my mind, it's like the best chapter in the book. And I don't, that's because I like me. And I think I'm great, and I like to look at me and analyze me and go, oh, look at that, and do this. And then do the right thing after I've created a situation, Like, I had a troubling student that we are in, frequently we're in a, I think I may have mentioned it briefly, we're in a power exchange thing constantly in my class, except on good days when we're both being cheerful and like, hi, and he's like, hello, Dr. Grayson, and I'm like, hello, and then those days go fine, but it's all surface stuff, it's not real. He's just behaving and I'm on my best behavior, right? But a week ago, right before I left for Dayton, something had come up and I had that boy out in the hall and I was like, you are out of this class, and start acting like a college student and blah, 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 blah. And he was defending himself and I kept saying, I don't want to hear it. I don't need to hear it, right? I've already seen your behavior, there's no justification. I called in my co-teacher and he just was like, it's Dr. Grayson's class, right? So I'm driving to Dayton 6 hours through the mountains, and I'm like, wah, 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 in my head, and I was arguing. And that whole drama in my head, I had this conversation, and then I had that conversation with the dean, and then in case he complained, and then and then I had a conversation with the co-teacher, and then back with the student, and it was like on and on, seriously, for about 2 hours, and finally I pulled into a rest area. And I emailed him from my phone, and I said, all I said was, first, forgive me for emailing you from my phone, but I've been on the road ever since I left our class. And I want to apologize for calling you out in the classroom. I believe I could have handled that situation differently. Wow. You are a bright student, and you have a brilliant mind. And if you want to talk to me about this, I'd like to talk to you before my class and during my office hours on Tuesday. Have a good weekend, Dr. Grayson. And that's all I said. And he didn't get it until Tuesday, right? But for me, I didn't know that. But for me, I looked at my messages a few times, didn't get one from him. I thought, that's fine. I said what I needed to say. And it was gone that quick. It was just gone. And in my mind, because I've been reading this already, that was an affirmation for him in letting go of and just forgiveness of the whole situation. And because the negation for me was, there is no conflict, right? There is no conflict. There is no power control issue going on here. You know, that kind of stuff. So I had kept practicing that. But that didn't stop the conversation. What stopped the conversation in my head was doing the affirmation and following through with it. And so for me, it was like a clear example of how this works. And I want to make sure that we don't get caught up in what Ernest says, how we turn away from the condition, that we don't deal with negation, because actually Ernest Holmes does deal with negation in the beginning chapters of the book of Science of Mind. And then he slowly moves away from it, and then we've moved further away from negation. But he says in a really powerful prayer in the beginning that I feel saved my life about 20 years ago. He says, there is no doubt, right, no fear, in something else, and it's been a while, it's off the top of my head. There's no doubt, no fear, no something else. There is only life through God. And it was like it just caught me then. And I still think, and now I'm rereading this kind of thing with Curtis Hopkins, and it feels really powerful to me. And that's where I'm at with it. And I'd kind of like to know where other people are at, how your weeks have been, and what you thought about this book before I start taking pieces of it and sharing it.
I thought about it, and I thought, with the negation and affirmation thing, I struggled a little bit with, but like I wrote about, you know, it feels better to be an affirmation now because this is what I've come to, but also, like, there's some things I'm really good at affirming and believing it right then, and I don't have to do the negation part. And then there's other stuff that I can affirm it all I want, but then I didn't believe it.
Right.
So
right.
I have to get to the belief part, which oftentimes takes the negation and the looking at what's the belief that's holding me back. Because an affirmation doesn't always overcome a belief for me. I think some people probably can just go there and be fine, but not all of us.
Right.
And then, and then I think it's funny you said about the conversations, because I say to people sometimes, and even I'll say it to my husband sometimes, I'll be like, I feel like you had a conversation in your head that I wasn't present for. And so I don't know how to, you know, because I do it, and I'll tell somebody, I'll be like, I had a conversation with you that you don't know anything about. And so I'm going to have to fill you in and let you know that I'm going to apologize right now. So.
Right. Thank you.
You know, I think for me, it's comes down to being like a little flexible and not trying to follow like, you know, a hard fast rule, like just do affirmation and don't think of negation, or, you know, because in some cases, just doing affirmation in certain instances is only half the job. It's not the whole thing. And I have to address why I'm affirming and what it is that I am negating, and there are other times that I don't have to. So just like being flexible you know, knowing that the bottom line is that, you know, it's all God, it's all good. But reaching it and depending on the circumstance, you know, not saying, oh no, I did it wrong or something,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
What I think is really stuck with me, there's two things. One was the concept of there is no absence. As she said, that's one of the key things, which is there's an absence of something, it's an absence of God. So I don't have enough money, I don't have friends, I don't have intelligence, I'm not creative. Those all absence. And then, so that word is sort of stuck in my mind, and it's working its way through my consciousness. The other one was, I was having a little bit of trouble, I don't memorize well, but with the negations, affirmations and negations, I kept getting caught up in my intellect. And yet, so I would read it over and over and over again. Tonight, on my way here, out of nowhere, came affirmations and negations, one after the other, after the other, after the other. And it wasn't anything that was in the book. And I just, as I'm driving, I'm saying, wow. That's been my experience.
Good. Thank you.
I've had a really hectic week, and throughout I would find myself saying, this isn't real. And not every time, but many times, it would sort of halt me, and it was like everything changed instantaneously.
Wow. Good.
One of the things I like about the negations is that they tend to engender more energy for me. So in order to make it land, I need to draw a boundary. It puts me in a warrior space, if I can use that word. You know what I mean? But it's a boundary thing.
Right.
That is not what it is. This is what it is. And there's something, a strength of will, a strength of focus, a strength of something that I think needs to be in place. And it actually makes my affirmation stronger. So that's been my experience with it.
Good. I like that. That kind of puts you as a boundary into a warrior space. I like that image a lot. Spiritual warriors. I like that. Anyone else? No?
So, I was not here the second class. And last week I went back and watched the class. And was reminded about read, write, and meditate. I loved your questions. Ladies, I couldn't see you on camera, but I knew it was you. About, meditate on what you're reading on.
Right.
Write about what you're reading on. And that was very helpful for me because so I've been doing that this week. I just started this week, or last week actually. But it's been an interesting process. I mean, because it has changed my whole morning meditation to now trying this. It's very I guess it's because Ruth is rewording Emma's words, but it's still very sing-songish. It's very poetry. It's very easy to read, and yet there's still times when I'm reading and I don't really understand what the hell I just read.
Right.
But so to the lesson 3's question about so personal affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
She says that, you know, it's your personal affirmation and it will,
What page are you on?
47.
Mm-hmm.
It proved thyself. I can't, it was something that I thought I had underlined, but it did not. Anyway, it's your personal affirmation. It's not somebody else's. You know, but she doesn't really describe how you come to that. Because she's saying that it's like, there's two, and these two will stay with you for the rest of your life, essentially.
Right.
And you will change them a little bit, but the core is the same.
Right.
So, anyway, that was my question for lesson
Okay.
3.
I think that's a good question.
Yeah.
I do. Does anyone else, before we get to that, have a comment? Because that's a great way to go into the book. No?
I didn't understand what the question was.
So, for personal affirmation, she, just like the negations, she wants you to come up with 2 personal affirmations, but she talks about that there are 2, and they will stay with you throughout your life. I mean, and she talks a little bit about them, but to me that could have been fleshed out a little bit more. And how do you come about those 2 personal affirmations that's going to stay with you throughout
For the rest of your life?
Right.
Okay.
So you can only have 2 for the rest of your life?
No,
No,
I don't think you
You
can
can
have
have
that.
more than 2, but she's saying, let's start with 2.
Right.
Let's start with 2. She gives us 5,
Okay,
and then she's saying, come up with your own 2.
okay.
2 affirmations and 2
They will
2
lift your-
negations and 2 affirmations.
They will lift your life out of bondage.
That's right. And I'm going to read that first paragraph again, because that's it. That's the answer to your question. Now is the time to choose the power or energy we would like to embody in ourselves and to work at it until all of its characteristics are visible in us. That's your answer. Now is the time where we step into who we really are. If you've really done the work and you've been looking at negations and you've lived a life of some drama or some suffering or something, stop that. Look at the negations, acknowledge it for what it is, and then move forward out of that. And that is, so where is your key, what's your key drama? What's your key barrier that you have a difficulty moving through? Where do you set up your own line that you're like, oh, I want a lot of money, I just don't ever think I'll get it. Maybe it is financial, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's something else, yeah?
I just, on page 47, and this is where it says, between you and your true possessions lies only the claim of their absence. Meet the appearance with reality. Meet the claim of absence with the truth of presence.
Right.
And I follow that with the 3 words that, what you were saying meant to me: omnipotence, omnipresence, and omniscience.
Right.
And every time when that's sort of tied to absence, when I can see, okay, absence, well, no, God isn't absent. Spirit, God, whatever it is, omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient. So I can't lack or something be absent, and those words are power words for me, as you were saying what you felt power.
Yes, I agree. Yes.
So my question would be, how do you find those power words? Because I don't know if it's in chapter 3, but she does talk a lot about finding, quote, the right words to manifest whatever it is you're working on.
Right. Yeah, for a woman who doesn't believe in duality, she works in duality a lot.
Yes, she does.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good question too. Is there, yes?
Please correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm seeing with these negations, what it's saying to me is, pick 2 of your source objects.
Mm-hmm.
Things that are personal to you that you might not want to even tell anybody, and say, okay, it's time to get your act together. and realize there really isn't, so that you can do an affirmation to say there is.
Right, exactly that. That's it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
So one of the ways that they suggest, and I've said this, I may have even said it here in this class, but I know I've said it in others. I got it from a minister who once said, well, if you're not happy, she was like, look at who you're hanging out with, right, essentially. Because the 5 people that you are closest to are the people that you're reflecting. And if you're not happy, my guess is they're not happy either, right? And it was like, oh, and so I took a good look at who I was hanging out with and changed some of those relationships. And, but they say that here too. She says, Herbert Spencer concluded that a man is more like the company he keeps than the people from who he is descended.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. So, look around you, right? If there's discontent somewhere, it's getting reflected back to you somewhere else, right? If there's discontent in your own life, then that discontent is being reflected to you from somewhere else. And so where's the negation then? There is no discontent, or there is no anger, or there is no fear, or there is no...
Judgment.
What?
Judgment.
Judgment, right. So which is the ones that start going to your core of your being, right? That's how I look at it. I look at it like, what am I afraid of? Laura and I had a really interesting conversation recently, and she said something that I just looked at her and I was like, what? Like, that's it. That was it exactly. It was one of those stories I tell over and over and over. And then I said something and Laura just asked me a question that clarified it, and it was like, that's it. I'm afraid in some ways of getting older. I'm afraid of not having anything as I get older. And it was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, I thought I was past that, and no, obviously I'm not. I don't have this. My mind went immediately to I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't have a partner, I don't have money, I don't have retirement, all I have is this job, and then, it was like, stop this stuff. But that was it. That was the drama in my life, and so I looked at where that came from, and it was like, it's the same fear. It's the same fear, just at a different, manifesting at different levels. And so it was like, I don't want that. And so I know that that's not true. I know that's not true. I could go through the whole litany of negations that I've been like, spearing, So, running them down. So, anyway. Does that make sense? And it was at the core of my being. It was like I thought about that conversation over and over and over, going, wow, wow,
Yeah.
wow. Just like the power confrontation with that student. It's like, whoa, where's that coming from? I already have the power, so what am I so afraid of about this, 19-year-old young man? Right? Because we all know how sure they are of themselves, right? And brilliant. They're just smart. What does that make me, right? A fraud? Kind of not so smart that I don't know what I'm talking about. And it's like, no, those things just are not true. I know my field very, very well. It's like, so where do those moments of self-doubt and fear come from? Because we all experience them. And so some of them, though, which is where you were going, and you, right? I think both of you were asking a similar question about where these affirmations come from. You hit it right on the head, because they're different for everybody. I know what motivates my dysfunction and despair. I know what it is. I know it like that. It's not my mom, it's not my sister's death, it's none of that stuff. It's all inside me, and I know it. And it wasn't one of these 5. And that's what we're asking you to do. What is your greatest negation that you need to do before you can do the affirmation? We have to recognize that peace before we can move on. I believe that. It's kind of like AA thing. You have to sometimes hit bottom before you can go back up. And So my bottoms are much higher than they used to be, you know, like, dang it, that was a good question, like that. And then think about it and think about it, but I'm not crying about it anymore. You know, I'm sure I could if I really wanted to focus on that like that. But I'm okay. Yeah,
Yes, you are.
yes, I am.
I was thinking of the whole thing with that young man, and like, what would I do in that situation? And, you know, I mean, I think of like, why is he intimidating me, and what is there to be afraid of, and what is it about me? And there are times in like things like that I could just go to, no, there is no, this isn't real. But most of the time, just being who I am, I want to know why a button was pressed in me by this particular person saying this particular thing.
Right.
And I'm not interested in going into my childhood and all of that, but I am curious about where this came from. And if I just get like really quiet, it'll come almost immediately. Oh, that's what it reminds me of. Oh, that's what it just brought up in me.
Right,
Because it has nothing to do with the person, they're just being who they are,
right.
you know.
And it has nothing
And-
to do with me. That's the other thing.
It doesn't, it really doesn't. There's something else in there. But I like to flush it out, like for the next time I'll know, and then, you know, it's not something that's gonna press a button again.
Right, right, exactly. So, and she writes, you know, this for beginners, right? So,
Yeah.
and many of us have already been past these initial stages, so it feels like a little redundant to focus on the negative. But she also says, after wise and earnest negations, it's never long before we utter the mighty affirmations that spring forth from the nothingness, and our lives become consistent with them. And so, it's the affirmations that are based on those negations, though. So we have to know who we are before we can move forward. Right? You've all heard all of those things, you know, the definition of his insanity is doing the same thing. And then getting, you know, going past the initial struggle and then finding yourself in a similar or this very same struggle at a different level. And it's like, so that means that you haven't dealt with that core. The negation was not good. That's the triple negative, isn't it? I just want to say it was not good.
That's triple.
Not.
So that means it's
Not is a triple, that means it's really bad. If you have to do a triple negation, I mean, really. Get a treatment, see a practitioner. Yes.
I don't usually watch Dr. Phil, but he has this thing that says, and how's that working for you, that
Yes.
comes up every once in a while. I think,
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
right, right. Okay, so now we've talked about negations. Is it more clear, April, where the affirmations come from?
Well, yeah, I always knew they came from me, but I mean,
You wanted something more definitive?
well, it would, I don't know,
How do you discover them
right,
for your
well,
person?
and I know that I'm asking myself, and I know that I have the answers within me, and yet it would be helpful if there was some more clear direction on how to achieve that.
One thing might help is in the middle of page 47,
Right.
she says you find your affirmations by looking at your circumstances. So she gives some examples there.
If your life feels turbulent, you best speak of peace. Those examples?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I mean, but do they need to be more defining than that? Like, can they be that general?
I believe so, initially, that, you know, it's like we work in generalities and then it becomes more specific as we become more aware.
Okay.
I think so. It's like we can pray for world peace, but until we find it here,
Within ourselves.
right, then we're just praying for world peace. But when we start living it, that's when it starts actually changing, right? But we're not going to get to living it until we start recognizing it and negating that it's not here in us now. David and then Laura.
Right. So, two pieces for me. One is the things that need the most energy and negation is probably where my strongest affirmations come from.
Right.
So they're kind of married that way. So I know I have an underlying issue with whatever it is, and it shows up in a lot of different ways. And if I'm having trouble with something, it's probably that issue. So I kind of skip the issue and go straight to fear, which is what it is, and look at ask myself, what am I afraid of? And then I have to, so then I know that my affirmation is about there's nothing to be afraid of. And I do both the inductive and deductive, why I don't need to be afraid of it. But then there's also the expansion of it. It's not just to say, I don't need to be afraid. There's nothing that can stand in the way of my success. There's nothing that can, it's all good. God is everywhere. Just lay into it, expand it, dig into it. And as I do that repeatedly with whatever comes up, the affirmations refine themselves. I find what feels right, what really has some oomph to it.
Yeah.
You know, but it takes some, so for me, and everybody's different, for me, it doesn't work just to say, there's nothing to fear and God is all there is. Not quite there yet. I need to say, God is in this situation, God is in that person, God is here, everything's fine.
Right.
And just go through all of it as strongly as I possibly can, because that's what's needed.
Right.
In order for me to, I won't say get it in there, but reveal what the truth is.
Right.
So Holmes refers to the logic and the argument, I think it's Holmes, where you don't just say there's nothing to fear, but you logically tell yourself why it is true that there is nothing to fear.
Right.
And you give yourself different reasons and they're all the truth.
Right.
And that, you know, and I think, you know, for me, after doing that, going through the logic, because that's how I think, the affirmation really comes last. Like there's nothing left. There's an empty space now that everything's been negated.
Right.
So now there's a space, and what do you fill it in with? The opposite.
Right.
And it's usually general for me. All is good, all is peaceful.
Okay. My good is my God.
My good is my God.
Right. Good. Laura?
When she says to find, you know, these affirmations that you're going to have for the rest of your life, that makes me stop, because I'll look and go, well, what if I pick the wrong one? I'm stuck with it for the rest of my life. And it's kind of getting past that and going, you just start with what's up right now. Even if it's very Mickey Mouse, this is what I can come up with. And then, because I think she even said in there, you'll look at it and change it over time if you need to.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's just getting past that, it's forever thing. And knowing to just find something to start with, because this month it may be this, next month it may be totally different or maybe another version of this, but if I can give myself the freedom to start with whatever's up now and know that it's up for as long as it is, and then you can pick two more or you can stay with that one for the rest of your life.
Right.
But that was a little daunting to me. Those type of things always make me stop, and then it's like, I really want to do this, but I don't know that I want to do it forever.
Right. Right. I see what you're saying. And I agree with you that it's a little daunting for the rest of your life, but on the other hand, not a but, on the other hand, I think it's true. How many of you have kept journals like since you were 20? 13. Have you ever gone back and reread them?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Are they the same drama? No?
Oh my
Essentially, mine are
Well,
all
outside of my
revolving around the same drama, around lack of finances, around bad girlfriends, around, you know, they're all the same thing, all the same thing. That I'm a good person and I got screwed, like that. And then now I'm suicidal, right? That's what they go to. It's like, I thought I was a good person, I must not be a good person, I got screwed, and now I just want to die because I have nothing. I have no money. You know, because I'm always in school. That's my addiction.
And
I'm
you
always
still are.
taking, and I still am, in school, so my money's going down, and it's just the same thing. And I started burning all those journals, and then it was like, stop that, I need those, and I don't know why. So now I have them all, and some are half burned, but it's the same themes in there, same themes over and over, different players, different towns, different everything, but the one connecting factor is me, and it's for me it all comes to this. For me, it all starts with fear. And fear is at the base of almost every reaction that I have. Not every action, but every reaction. I think sometimes of my life is driving a car and someone puts the brakes on in front of me, and that initial feeling isn't like, I'm a good driver, I'll slowly come to a stop. No, it's like, ah! Like that. And it's like, that's my life, and that's my pattern. And I try to, it's like, I've come to accept that, but I don't have to react to that anymore. And so, but I can feel it. I certainly know what it feels like, but I think every one of us is an individualized expression of the divine, so we all have our own way of expressing those negations that are the same patterns of behavior over and over. And for this one, it's like forgiveness of self through the affirmations. It's like forgive yourself for those negations in your life, for treating yourself badly, for believing you don't have any money, or that there's lack, or that you're in ill health, or that you're not relationship material. Whatever the theory, whatever that drama is going on in your head, forgive yourself, let it go, and then negate it and move forward with the affirmation. That's how I see this chapter, why it's so powerful to me.
So my big, boogie monster is a little bit different,
Yeah.
but shows up, I can think back to it.
Did you call it Mickey Monster?
No, boogie monster. My big
Oh,
one.
I'm sorry. That's
I
so
said big
good.
monster.
Mickey Monster.
Yeah, Mickey
McDonald's.
Monster,
Yeah, yeah.
And it's around actually thinking that the belief that I am responsible. And so it served me very well. I get my shit done. I do my work, and I support myself, and I support my family, and I'm the one people come to when they need help, and and it works out, and I'm happy, and so I'm attempting, or I am manifesting a situation in which I'm going to be dependent on someone else. And holy mother, does that terrify me, and it's hard to get to that point where I can believe it will happen.
Right.
Or for me to trust that it will happen, because I want to stay home.
Right.
And, that's huge, that's a complete shift in my life. And so being to the point where I can trust, and so that's what it's around, is trust and doubt.
Right.
Those are the negation I figure is doubt. And then it's trust. And trust versus mistrust stuff. And feeling like I don't have to do it.
Right.
I can do something else.
So what's
And
the
it will still be there.
affirmation?
So the affirmation for me, I always go to that God or the universe or whatever I want to say is my source. That I am not my source. My source is out there, and I'm supported.
Okay.
I'm always supported. And life supports me, and life has supported me. I know that to be true. I just don't think that it comes through, I have to be doing it. And so now I have to let go of, I don't have to. It will come through other avenues.
Right.
So that's what I'm working on, that's my big.
Good. Everyone good? Before we go on, any other comments on this? Okay, then the second part now, since I had brought you back to your 2 personal negations, write the 2 affirmations that go with those 2 negations. Take that time, and then why don't you go ahead and do that, and we'll take a break too, and we'll just come back here at 8. So be in your own space until you do that, and then take your break. Does that work? Okay. you, Breezy. Okay.
I pulled over before I checked.
So, the metaphors, and then we're going to talk about these affirmations. Maybe you want to talk about them first. How was that, writing out the affirmations? Is that good? Do you feel like you touched to something in the core of your being? Maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Cheryl?
No. I have to ponder it at home a little. It's a little
Okay.
hard to.
When there's not so much distraction?
Yeah, I need a little bit. I don't do well under pressure.
Okay. I really asked that facetiously. I don't think you could do that in the core of your being in the last 15 minutes. I apologize, it's a bad joke. But I do think that, did you write an affirmation or two?
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to share them?
Sure.
With the negation. Negation, affirmation.
Well, I gotta turn to the page.
Pick one, and then we'll come back around.
I just gotta find the page that it's on.
Do you want to do it while
Sure.
she's looking?
Okay.
There's no feeling of anger. There's always peace and love in my life.
Oh, nice.
Let's see. There is no lack. I have amazing abundance in all things.
Yeah. Let's acknowledge everybody by like saying that is true or yes it is or something, but let's not leave them hanging there after they've shared. Okay? Because you're looking at me like, is that good? And it's like all of us, let's just say, wow, that's good. Yeah, you know, because they are and they speak to each of us. So well done. Yeah. And who else? Okay.
I do not need to struggle in life. Life is not a struggle. Truth is ease and support, and spirit supports me in a life of ease and comfort.
Wow, that's nice.
There we go.
That's
Very
good.
nice.
Okay.
I think I did it kind of backwards, but because I put the negation, well, I can read it backwards and then, okay. The negation is I can't lose my hearing. God is my hearing. And the other one is I put there is no time, but then I put I have more than enough time to do the things I want to do. So I guess I was thinking I don't have enough time.
Right.
Or I can't get everything done or something like that. So that would be the negation.
Right. Well done. Good.
Yay.
Yay. Sure.
This actually came up with something April said in our first class. And the negation is life is not nice. And the affirmation, which actually came to me that week in a creative thought, was the core of my being is awake to living a deep and joy-filled life.
Yay.
So I clarified my negation.
Okay.
It feels better. There is no doubt, source is not dependent on me. And then my affirmation is universal power is my source, life supports me.
Yes. Good. B is asking you to raise your voice and say it again.
Because I didn't hear
Okay.
it.
So I clarified, I'll turn towards you. I
Thanks.
clarified my negation is that there is no doubt, source is not dependent on me. And my affirmation is universal power is my source, life supports me.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. Hello. Who else would like to share? Everyone's going to share, I hope, rather than just passing this evening. Yes.
There is no fear. I am safe in all ways. There is no confusions. I am clear with my intentions.
Good.
Nice.
Yeah.
There is no judgment. Each one of us is a divine expression of God.
Yeah.
Okay. The negation is nothing can stand in the way of my success. My good as my success is here now.
Yes?
There is no fear. I am supported and loved.
Yes. So we're stating two negations, well, one negation at this point, and stating the affirmation that would follow the negation.
There is no doubt. I am guided to my good. There is no confusion. I trust myself to embrace it once I have my good.
Yes, good.
Can you say it louder, because I couldn't hear you at all?
There is no doubt. I am guided to my good. There is no confusion. I trust myself to embrace it once I have my good.
My good is here now.
Okay.
Yes. I'm just going to make that little edit there, because if you're always waiting for it to get to you, then you're always waiting. So claim it as yours now.
Okay.
Because that's the affirmation.
Yeah, that's present tense. not
So
future
read
tense.
it one more time, Fran. Loud, strong.
Outside voice. There is no doubt. I am guided to my good. There is no confusion. My good is here now.
Yes!
Fear has no place in my life and no substance. I am safe and always at peace.
Yes.
There is no doubt. I know the truth.
Yes.
There is no poverty, lack, or limitations. I am successful in everything I undertake.
Yay.
You have such a lovely smile going on while you're sitting there. I'm just going to ask you to share.
Because I feel happy. There is no separation. All is one within spirit.
Yes.
God is omnipresent. I am omnipresent.
Yes. Omnipresent. Michael? Pass? Okay. Dan?
Linda.
Pass. Linda, sorry.
There is no judgment. I accept all people as they are.
All right. Nina? Nina? Is that a pass?
Well, I'm trying to figure out which thing I want to read.
Oh.
So, my negation is, I will not be a know-it-all. And the affirmation is, I will ask others their opinion and respond in kind and gentle ways.
Nice. Mine is, I am not alone, that I am loved by many. Yeah. Anyone else want to share a second one? I think this is exciting. You guys don't like this? This is like exciting stuff. You came in late, but I know.
So here's the one that's bubbling up right now. There is no less than. There is only more than. I am more than enough of whatever I need.
Yeah. You wanna share the second one? Or you didn't share your,
Okay.
no, you did,
I shared one.
yeah.
Love doesn't exist. I don't understand it, I don't experience it. There is no absence of love. God is love, omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Anyone else? A
There
second
is
one?
no lack. God is the source of all supply.
Yes. Someone share their second one.
I've got, there is no guilt, no wrong path. I am divinely guided in all that I do. God works as me to create life.
Yes.
There is no illness. I am amazingly healthy and fit.
Yeah.
I like that. Anyone else? Okay. Some of you could feel it. This isn't the same book. What is going on here? What happened to my book? I don't know if I can find what I'm looking for here.
You want the original 1926 one? Or?
No, not the original, but the 1997 printing.
That's not
I
it?
think you put
That's
those
the
the one that has
97,
both.
the 26 and the 38 together.
Are they combined or separate books?
They're two separate books. It's one volume, two volume.
Sorry, I was gonna do this at the break and I got,
Distracted.
yes.
There is no distraction.
So they kind of changed it all around, huh? That means all the page numbers are different. I don't think I'll be able to find it. So that's unfortunate. I'll bring it next week.
I was gonna say, when I wrote my affirmations, they just came out from the negation. But I read them and it's like, well, those are like just basic affirmations, but having done the negation with it, it had much more specific meaning and power to it.
Right. It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think that's what Emma's getting at.
Yeah.
Any other comments on this chapter? Because I think it's really powerful, but it's the next one, faith. We're going to jump right into 4 for the second half of this class. And I know that you may not have read it, but it's about faith. Because also we only have 9 weeks and we need to move it on. But because at the end of this, of chapter 3, before we go to 4, she says, loving tenderness and fearlessness that is free from the need for praise is the third power of spirit. And loving tenderness and fearlessness that is free from the need for praise is the third power of spirit. Which is, I've thought about that phrase a lot, and I was like, what does that mean? What does that mean? That I am the divine, that I don't need to be validated, right? I am powerful, I am loved, I am all of these things, but that negation comes, in a sense, first, the recognition, and then the acknowledgement through affirmation of the God being that we all individually are, and how we express. And so as you work through those two things, and just keep repeating, follow the suggestions. Monday, read lesson 1. Tuesday, read the 5 lesson 2s. And on Wednesday, read, my good is my God. My God is life, truth, love, substance, intelligence, omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient. Omniscient. It's a lisp. It's on page 48. I live and move and have my being in good. I am spirit, mind, identical with God, wisdom, strength, and wholeness. God, my good, works through me to will and to do whatever is mine to be and do. I am governed by God, the good, so cannot sin, nor can I fear sin, sickness, or death, plus your 2 affirmations. So, I am loved by many is one, right, for me. How powerful is that to read these and to do it every day? Well, every week, technically. Every day, really. You should read it all every day. should. But then she says that we don't need the phrase, one who is seeking favor cannot praise anything wisely. The supremacy of meekness is being the highest we can be while not seeking commendation. And so, why do we do what we do? That's before we go move into faith, if not to be acknowledged or recognized.
Because I'm passionate about it.
Because what?
Because I'm passionate about it.
Okay.
Because, yeah, I enjoy it, I like it.
Okay.
It feels good.
Because it feels good. So we have passion, feels good, enjoyment.
There's something within that stirs me to do something.
Okay.
Like pushes me on.
Okay.
And to grow.
To grow.
Express ourselves.
Okay. For expression. Why else do we do the things? Why else are we doing this work?
Peace of mind.
Peace of mind.
To know ourselves.
To know who we are.
To feel connected.
To feel connected. All right. Michael?
To institute real change in ourselves and in our world.
To create change in ourselves and our world. You said what? I didn't hear. Institute. Okay. Yeah.
But there has to be more to life than this.
Right.
Appearances.
Okay. Anyone else? Why you want to do this work? So you must have faith then that it's going to do something, or you wouldn't have come back for 4 weeks, right? So if we move into, because she considers faith the foundation. Faith is the base. So we've already expressed a fair amount of faith, at least what in AA, when I was first getting into the program, I wasn't in yet, I was still using quite a bit, and I'd taken a Bible and climbed up this brownstone in this part of Minneapolis, South Minneapolis, where the fire escape ladder was barely connected to the wall, and I climbed up to the roof of that brownstone with a Bible and a fifth of scotch, and
the Lord was coming back down.
Yes, and what they called that later, after I got sober, was that I had vague spiritual ideation. And that vague spiritual ideation is one of the many ways that alcoholics, or some of the reasons that we turn to something, because we can't bring it into focus, right? There's something, too much fear, too much trauma, too much whatever has stopped us from expressing, but we know there's something greater out there, and it's the ones who can't find that greater out there that choose a different path in their lives, right? And so they kept saying, it'll be okay, Bobby, because they called me Bobby back then. Can you hear that Minnesota accent in that? They call me Bobby. So they said, don't worry, it's okay, Bobby, because you have vague spiritual ideations. You're gonna get it, girl, like that. So little did they know that they were right, because the fourth strength of mind is the strength of inspiration, which enables one to see what must be done. And that's what Emma Curtis Hopkins says about faith. The fourth, and that's on page 51, the fourth strength of mind is the strength of inspiration, which enables one to see what must be done. in our way of believing, deep down in our convinced mind is our human faith, and that we are sure to speak out from that faith, and our lives will show what we have faith in. Our lives will show what we have faith in. So as soon as we are expressing what this says to me, and it might be different for y'all, but it is, it says to me that as soon as I start feeling that turmoil and that fear that starts here and then kind of works its way into the back of my head, that's what I have faith in that moment. And so that's where the negation comes in. That's where then followed by the affirmation, which brings back the true faith, because I believe that I have faith in those things as well, as much as I try to negate it, that some of that drama's always worked for me. Right? That fear has been something that's motivated me my whole life. A fear of lack, fear of this, fear of that. For me, it's based in fear. And for other people, it might be something else. I don't know. But I have faith in that because it's kept me alive all these years. And now now I have faith in something bigger, something that expresses through me and not something I react to. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I've been thinking about this week, how to express that in terms of how my faith has changed. And I think that's pretty much it. So it's not so much by what we do as by what we think and say that we manifest our intentions. So remember, too, it's who we're hanging around with. If there's someone that's full of negation and full of, sad story and full of drama and trauma, we end up in those cycles. It's hard to stay above that, right? It's a different thing as practitioners, or as people here, we need to bounce things off of people, and we might experience the tornado and then it goes because we're with like mind. But there's other people out there that we all interact with. And so the faith is, in my mind, my faith is not to let myself get drawn into that and know what the truth is. Like at work, there's some drama going on, and it's like, I don't want to be a part of it, and I am because I'm faculty, but so I sit there and I think, I don't want to go down this route, I don't want to go down this route, and so I keep saying, there is, I start with the negation, but my faith says we don't have to go down this route, right? We can do something different as a group, right? Because I've been there before, yeah.
Don't be surprised that your friends change, because if you don't put up with that drama, you don't react to them, they're going to find somebody else to react with.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. And I know I talk a lot about my sobriety, but it's very similar. Coming into Science of Mind was like, I came into Science of Mind at about 20 years sober, and it was like getting sober all over again. And in the beginning, it was like, change your playground, change your playmates. And it's the same thing when you come here. I've lost friends in my life because I don't want to be in that drama. And they don't want to tell me that drama anymore because I don't react to it the same way. Yes?
The biggest problem I find is I have nothing to say. When I get in certain group or circumstances, I've got nothing to say.
Right.
That's it.
I know. Yes.
There was a Tao Te Ching quote in here that I referenced, but what you just said, there's 2 lines from the Tao Te Ching that he who knows does not speak, and he who does not know speaks.
Right.
We better be quiet in here.
Thank you.
Someone going to say something?
He just said thank you.
Oh, okay. So what it reminds me of is Pema Chodron says that the spiritual warrior actually is one who holds the paradox and can walk forward in faith, looking neither to the right or to the left, but knowing the truth of all involved. And she calls that a spiritual warrior, and I can't remember what book it's from offhand, but it's sitting on my bookshelf. And it's about fear though, because that's what speaks to me. And so I heard of, pardon?
It's on my bookshelf as well.
And so I saw that title, I was like, oh, that book was written for me. And as soon as she said spiritual warrior is one who holds the paradox, because I've always been one who's believed in duality. I wrote a lot of stuff about duality in black and white and you know, and back and forth. There was never, it was like good and bad, this and that, this and that. The whole world was duality, and I didn't want any part of it. And it wasn't until I saw that the spiritual warrior is one who strives to hold the paradox. It was like of that duality and not stray to one side or the other. It's a challenge. It's been a goal. I'm on my.
Now, what is it called when it's not dualistic? What is it?
Holistic.
Holistic?
Holistic?
So to have, in my thinking, a holistic view, you know, it's the difference between seeing the Tao and the yin and yang, right? The Tao is the wholeness of it all. You see it all at once. It's, the yin and yang is the black and white, all of the dualistic.
Okay. Could you also call it oneness?
Mm-hmm. You most certainly can.
Or monistic.
Monolistic?
No, just
Monistic.
M-O-N-O.
Monistic.
The places that scare
Right.
you.
I can't pronounce it.
So,
Did you say I'm still not pronouncing it?
No, I said I can't pronounce it.
Oh. Monistic. That, not monolistic. Not a soliloquy. 'Cause we're not alone. We're one with. Right. I looked up all those words because I felt so alone. I learned those words up on a roof.
within the overall oneness exists in yin and yang in there. It's not the umbrella, but somehow it does exist. I mean, I can't tell myself that it doesn't exist. So like when you talk about paradox, it implies two things that are somehow in conflict with each other, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
So you're holding a paradox, and yet you have a faith in what? You know, I didn't quite, you know, what you just said about, because like to me, faith, I mean, would you say faith and knowing are synonymous? Is faith knowing?
Knowing the truth? Knowing, and what is the
I
truth?
have faith because I know this to be the truth. So I have faith in this. So like with people, one of my, you know, more recent, like in the last 10 years or whatever, is I have faith, like I know that at the core of every human being, there is what I call an angel. So I will attempt to communicate with people angel to angel. And you can't always get there right away, but I have faith that it's there, regardless of what the person has said or done. There is an angel at the core of that person. So I have faith in that as I interact with people. And I found that very helpful for me. You know, it does wonders for judgment,
Right.
you know. So when I used to think of faith, it didn't work for me because it was like a blind faith. No, this is it, just have faith in it, it says so in this book and that, just have faith. I could not do that. I had to come to my belief, my knowing, my faith through a logical set of
steps.
arguments.
No, but it sounds like you came to it through a metaphor.
I came through the faith in people in my spiritual education, which I did not have before.
Right.
And I trusted nothing, and I lived in a very dark place.
Right.
You know, and my awakening, whatever, 25 years ago, not even that long ago, changed my whole life and my whole way of thinking.
Right.
So I have faith in that, because it has proved itself out.
Okay.
But then there's a blind faith.
No, I think you're making
Well, I mean, you're
sense.
making
Don't
great
stop.
sense. You're doing
Don't
fine.
stop. Yeah, I think you're
There's-
working
there's-
through.
There's
Yeah.
the kind of faith where, you know, it's like, we'll just believe because, you know, all these great people said it so, and I don't.
Right. Right. So there's that faith, you know, because they do that, I can do it too.
But with duality, you know, the yin and yang and paradox exists for a reason.
Yes.
It's something for us to work with.
Conflict? You mean the conflict between the yin and the yang, between the night and the day, and
Yeah, the
the
black
good
and the
and the
white,
bad,
and,
good
yeah,
and evil?
it does exist. We do have night and day, unless you want to say one of them is not real, you know. So, I mean, in the human experience, we do.
Right. I think it's all in how we phrase it, because I don't see that paradox anymore. I just don't believe in duality anymore, and I used to believe in it so strongly that there was good and evil, and now I don't. I don't even believe there's night and day,
See,
to tell you the
that's-
truth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, because I don't believe in good and bad. I mean,
Right.
the words don't exist. That's judgment. I'm so like,
but it doesn't mean I don't judge people for what I consider their lack of awareness. And then I go, that's my lack of awareness, not their lack of awareness, yeah.
So, on my journey, I went from this or that to this and that. Like, see if I can use some of the word. That person's lack of awareness makes them something, or they're not something else. But that person can have a lack of awareness and be an angel at the same time.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think,
Anything that exists.
Using your night and day analogy, maybe night here, but somewhere else it's day.
right,
It's
right,
about where we are.
right.
So to me, that is the great the great paradox is I'm at one with God, and yet I have an experience of being individualized, whatever word you want to use.
that's the paradox.
It's the
It's a
being,
paradox,
That's
and yet I
exactly
exist.
what it is.
I'm having, you know,
it's
and I
being
can
in the
actually-
world and not of it.
being in the world and none of it,
Yeah.
all at the same time.
Right,
And the way this temporal mind is set up, I can only kind of work, that's not even true, I'm not gonna say that. Because I don't only work in time and space, I'm outside of time and space a lot.
Well, yeah,
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that is the paradox.
Yeah.
One but not one, two but not two, it's,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's
Yeah.
because each of us are individuals, have individual talents, but we are all one. And so it seems really like there is a major paradox there, but it's not.
and where I go with it is just within
Right.
myself and my own connection to God. So even to say my connection to God, wait a second, I am
Yeah.
God in expression, but it feels like I'm not, that's the paradox. You know, and for me, I just let it be. I can't, you know, okay, that's what it is. But it all fits within the context of God, because God is all there is.
right,
So,
right.
so.
When we're in the paradox, Curtis Hopkins would say, go to negation, go to affirmation, and then have faith that God is all there is,
Mhm.
right? Would you agree with that? With her, not with me? I mean, that's my interpretation of her. She says this, I like. Faith is the success of good, even when some form of apparent evil seems to be upsetting your life. No, let me reread that. Faith, it's on page 52. Faith in the success of good, even when some form of apparent evil seems to be upsetting your life, will act like a gallant ship plowing through the stormy seas, holding on to the great principles while you seem to be in trouble will make your character marvelously strong. It is the very mystery of godliness. Situations are sure to come out right when people have a strong, honest confidence that they will come out right. Right? Right. That's a Pink song. There's a Pink song where she says that. So that's faith. So this is my homework for you for next week. Journal about faith. Journal about faith. Whatever you read, write about faith in connection with what you're reading. Right? And so I would hope that this is the book that you're reading every morning for a few minutes, plus the affirmations. So the affirmations for you for Thursdays is, let's get there. All right, Thursday mornings for tomorrow morning. See how perfect this worked out for us tonight. Loving, sustaining, creator of all life. I'll read one and then someone else can read one. Is that good?
Yeah.
Page 66. Thursday mornings, speak to the great servant with firm command, using the words of the great formula, the Lord's Prayer. You may wish to use the form you grew up with or the following translation. So,
Do we have this right?
page 66 is the practice. And throughout that chapter, she addresses each one of these.
Okay.
So mine, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Actually,
65.
You get on 66?
it starts on
Yeah,
page
it's
65.
different.
On the bottom.
Mine starts on 66.
Yeah, mine starts on 66, but it's lesson 4, the practice Thursday mornings.
Okay.
Okay. So, well, who else would like to read that first one, rather than me read them all? Someone else.
I'll
We'll
read if
read
you
one
want.
person for each one.
Okay, just starting at number 1 where it says speak to the great servant?
No, start with loving, sustaining.
Okay. Loving, sustaining creator of all life, all powerful presence in our lives, most blessed in your infinite name.
Thank you. Yes?
We acknowledge your presence within us as a power for our good in all experience.
Give us our substance today and every day.
Give us your sustenance when we have failed to gain it for ourselves, as we have done the same for others.
And never let us be tempted to choose the ways of matter instead of spirit, lest we become subject to matter's laws.
So what my encouragement for you would be not to get caught up in the Christian aspect of what she's talking about and using the Lord's Prayer as the basis for these, but to come up with your own affirmations, your own statements of faith. And so again, I'm asking you to journal and come back willing to share and to talk about what you've worked on over the week. And I'll read the chapter, and are there any questions? All right?
Are we just reading the 4th one?
I would graze into 5 as well, because I think they're so connected. Sometimes if we stop at the chapter, to me it feels like we've stopped cold, and it's like there is this next piece that, go with faith, let's work on that. So I would say always graze to the next chapter.
Okay, thank you.
which is different from studying it and memorizing it, just grace. Grace. And I'll come prepared with that. That book is a monster. But it's full of wisdom. All right, are there any questions? Is there anything that people would like addressed before we end this evening? Any questions, any concerns? Then this is these 5 minutes before we do the offering, this is where I really do want your feedback. We're at kind of a midpoint in the class. We're moving into, 4 and 5. And is there something you would like different? Is there a different way you want to have the class facilitated? Would you like more meditation time? I mean, is there anything? Anything? Would you like to sit in a large circle? We could pull the tables together. What would you guys like to facilitate the class?
I like it just the way it is.
For me, I think a circle would help, so that you can sort of see everyone.
Okay. So kind of move these tables in, and we've done that before. Okay.
Yep. I would like people to talk louder.
Speak up.
I think that would be easier if we were all in a.
Right.
That's right. Okay. Is there something else? Anything else? Yeah.
If we do a circle, will we still have a
Something to write on.
We'll make it with the tables.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
And remember, if we do it in a circle, everybody has to help move the chairs and the tables.
Back and forth. That's correct. Good point.
So I know you've done this before, but how do we do that with the camera?
We set the.
I set it up opposite her.
Yeah.
It's still gonna be focused on her, not on everybody talking.
Right. It'll be on this table here, and then we set it just inside the circle. I think we did.
I did it right between where two of them came together.
Right. Yeah. So it worked out okay. But I think I would like that too. Because I keep wanting to say, sit here, everybody, sit here, so that we're in more community.
I'd like to really thank everybody. I think this is really deep work, and we're opening ourselves up to a point of vulnerability. When I said what I said, I couldn't believe it was coming out of my mouth. I had difficulty overcoming my reluctance to share. So I'm really grateful to all of you, and I'm grateful to you for allowing this to happen.
Good class. It's a great class. So, all right. So if there's something else that you didn't feel like you could share about that, please email me or call me and let me know if there's a suggestion you have for the class. And this is what I do now. I know that these baskets are made with the same stuff that each one of us is made with, and I know that this stuff is out there. It's out there in the universe. It is the universal cosmic energy that flows through us, flows through me, flows through everyone present, and flows through these baskets. And that is the good, and it is the heart and the love that is donated, that is offered tonight, and that there is peace with that, and that there is comfort in knowing that all is well, and that we've shared well here this evening, and that there was love shared, energy shared, humor, laughter, and caring. And I know that that is exactly what the offering is about. I know that this is the point of who we are, and I feel so blessed, and I am so grateful. And as we make our ways home this evening, I know that there is safety, peace, comfort, and joy that follow us everywhere that we go. Knowing only that there is one, I release this into law, and together we say, and so it is. I give thanks for this good, and so it is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Breezy, for the book. Perfect timing.
You're welcome.